Today we're going to be doing lesson 24, percent in rates per 100. Percent means 100, means per 100. Okay, it's actually a Latin word, and if you kind of split it in half, it means per cent. And there are 100 pennies or 100 cents that make up a dollar, so that's why it comes from per 100%. We can write percentages as ratios, fractions, and decimals. Example, there are 100 students in the cafeteria. 40 of the students are in the art club, okay? So that percentage is 40% because the ratio is 40 students in the art club to 100 total, okay? Now, fractions, you would just take that ratio and write it as a fraction. I am going to ask you to simplify the fractions. You can simplify the ratios the same way, but let's just work on simplifying our fractions. You can cross out the zeros if they line up in a fraction because that's the same as dividing the numerator and denominator by 10. 4 and 10 at that point can still both be divided by 2, which scales this fraction down to its simplest form of 2/5. And decimal wise, you can take a fraction and divide the numerator by the denominator. So if you read this from top to bottom, 2 divided by 5, that decimal would give you 0.4, okay? And another way to look at it is 40/100ths. You know you have the tenths, the 100ths. Percents are going to always end in the hundredths place. So that's tenths, 100ths. So 40/100ths would be 0.40. You don't necessarily need that last zero. Okay, but I am going to focus on using the fraction in the calculator, dividing the numerator by the denominator to convert it because I think that's such a great skill. Okay, so let's go to exercise 1. I hope you have the top popped on your highlighter, or you're going to work on underlining important information in our word problem. Rob's fruit farm consists of 100 acres, on which 3 different types of apples grow. On 25 acres, the farm grows Empire apples. Macintosh apples grow 30% of the farm. The remainder, it's a very important word, of the farm grows Fuji apples. Shade in the grid below to represent the portion of the farm each apple type occupies. Use a different color for each type of apple. Create a key to identify which color represents each type of apple. Okay, this is fun. I am going to make Empire the color red. I'm going to make Macintosh the color blue. And I'm going to make Fuji green. Okay? And then I'm going to work on the main objective of this lesson. Okay, I am going to convert percentages to ratios, fractions, and decimals. Okay, so the first one is Empire apples. That is grown on 25 acres. So if I am going to color this, this is a 10 by 10 grid. So I know there are 100 little squares in here because I know area is length times width. 2 rows shaded gives me 20 acres, and then another 5 is going to give me 25. So that's where my Empire apples are going to go. And I know that Empires are 25 over 100. That is 25%. You are comparing the number 25 to 100. As a ratio, that looks like 25 to 100. And as a fraction, I'm going to simplify it by dividing the numerator and denominator by 25. And that's going to scale my fraction down to 1/4. And if I'm practicing converting a fraction to a decimal on my calculator, I'm going to punch in 1 divided by 4. And that's going to be 0.25 as a decimal, which can be read as 0 and 25/100, which is exactly what we started with right here. Okay, so now let's go to our Macintosh apples. Macintosh grow 30% of the farm, so they give us our percentage. As a ratio, that is 30 to 100. Okay, I'm going to put my M here for my work. If I make that ratio a fraction, I see that I have zeros lining up, which is the same as dividing top and bottom by 10, and I'm left with the fraction 3/10. Okay? Again, I'm going to pop my calculator out. I'm going to read the fraction from top to bottom. 3 divided by 10 as a decimal. It's 0.3. I'm actually going to add a 0 here, and I'm going to tell you why. Let me shade in my Macintosh apples, which are 30 acres. So that's 3 rows of 10. Okay, now, if this is a percentage problem, all percentages have to equal 100. So 30 plus 25 is going to give me a sum of 55. And if I subtract that from the total of 100%, my Fuji apples should make up 45% of the farm. So let me see. I have 10, 20, 30, 40, 45%. Oh, great job. Okay. Now as a ratio, that is 45 to 100. I am going to simplify that fraction just because I love simplifying fractions. Divide by 5, divide by 5. That is going to scale down to 9/20. Okay, and I'm going to work with my calculator to do 9 divided by 20. And as a decimal, that's 0.45. Now, look and see what happens when I add my decimals together. 5 plus 5 is 0. Is 10. Put down the 0, carry the 1. 2 plus the 1 would be 3. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm going to put down the 0, carry the 1. They all add to a total of 1, or 100% here. Might be a good thing to note. Okay? So let's clear that page and go down to our next example. Okay, I'm actually going to read the problem, and then I'm encouraging the substitute hopefully to pause the video, and you can work on filling out this table yourself. Exercise 2, with your partner, use the models to fill in the table. If you finish early, compare your table with another partner group. Okay, this shading confused Mrs. Kitchell and I. So we're going to say in this one, these 2 rows are shaded. In this one, we're going to say that this whole thing is shaded here. And this one should be pretty clear, but there's a 10 here, 2 shaded here, 8 here, 2, 6, 2, 4, 2, 2, and 10. There's a little bit of a pattern going on, if that helps you. So I'm going to ask the substitute to pause the video. I'm going to ask you to do picture A, percentage, ratio, fraction, decimal, B, and C in the same way. And when he or she thinks that majority of you are done, they will play the video so you guys can see the answer. Okay, the first one, there's 100 boxes or 100 squares here. If there's 2 rows shaded, that is 20 out of 100 or 20%. So that looks like 20 to 100. As a fraction, 20/100ths, you can simplify it. The zeros line up and they can cross out. And you can scale it down. Divide by 2, divide by 2. And the answer as a fraction in its simplest form will be 1/5. Hopefully you took your calculator out and you're going to do 1 divided by 5. And your decimal equivalent is 0 2/10. Okay? The next one, 50 out of 100 boxes are shaded. That's 50%, which is 50 to 100. I'm going to make that a fraction underneath so I can simplify it. The zeros cross out, same as dividing the top and the bottom by 10. And I'm going to scale this one down to 1/2. And I know that's a very famous fraction that can be converted to a decimal, but just to prove it, 1 divided by 2 should be 0.5. The last one, 10 shades plus 2 is 12, plus 8 is 20, plus 2 is 22, plus 6 is 28, plus 2 is 30, plus 4, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38. I have 48 boxes shaded, okay? 48% of the boxes are shaded, okay? That is going to be 48 to 100. Let me just double check my math. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38. Yes, okay. That's a great way to double check your work. When I do 40 over 100, I don't have any pretty little zeros here, so I'm going to divide both by 2. It's going to scale down to 24/50ths. I'm going to divide them both by 2 again, and that's going to scale down to its most simplest form of 12/25ths. And I'm going to take out my calculator, and I'm going to divide the numerator, 12 divided by 25. You always read a fraction top to bottom, so it can tell you what to do with it. Okay, so let's, hopefully that was quick enough. I'm going to scale down or scroll down to the next one. I'm going to actually ask you and your partner to do exercise 3. Have the sub pause the video after I read it. Mr. Brown shares with the class that 70% of the students got an A on the English vocabulary quiz. If Mr. Brown has 100 students, complete the table to represent this as a percent, ratio, fraction, and decimal. So hopefully pause is hit. Good luck. Okay, the answer, the percentage is 70%. As a ratio, that is 70 to 100. As a fraction, you have some simplifying to do. The zeros line up so you can cross them out. The fraction is going to be 7/10. Now, I know the first place after the decimal is the tenths place. So that would be 7/10, so it would be 0.7 or 7/10. And another way you can check that is to just use your calculator. 7 divided by 10 is 0.7. Okay? Let's see what else this lesson has in store for us. Okay, exercise. Oh, I love this. Okay, you are going to work on this. Why don't I do the first row with you? Okay, first 2 rows with you. And then I'm going to have the substitute pause the video and you can try to figure out the rest of the table with your partner. The first one is 6%. That is comparing 6 to 100. Okay, as a fraction, it is 6/100ths. I hope you simplify it by dividing them both by 2. The fraction is going to be 3/50. And pull out that calculator. 3 divided by 50. As a decimal, that is 0.06 or 0 and 6/100ths. And look, it matches here. It's beautiful. The next one, 60%, is 60 to 100. If I was going to simplify 60 over 100, I would line up my zeros first, and then I would divide them both by 2. That is going to scale down to 3/5. So now I'm going to do 3 divided by 5 on my calculator. The decimal is 0.6. And I'm going to add a 0 here just so you can see the difference between these two. This is 6/100ths. This is 60/100ths, okay? Huge difference. You don't need that 0 at the end, but if you wanted to see it out of 100, that's what it would be. Now try the next couple with your partner, the next 5, and when your substitute thinks that you've had ample time to complete them, he or she can hit play and you guys can go over the answers. This next one is 60 to 100. This is a percent greater than 1. Okay, as a fraction, 60 over 100, now you can cross out 2 sets of zeros. That's the same as dividing the numerator and denominator by 100. And 6 divided by 1 is just going to give you the whole number 6 with 0 pieces. Okay? 32 to 100 is 32%. If you wrote that as a fraction, 32 over 100, I know 4 goes into both of them. So if you divide the numerator and denominator by 4, that's going to scale down to the fraction 8/25ths. If you do 8 divided by 25 on your calculator, your decimal is going to be 32/100ths or 0.32. 0 and 55/100ths, that is going to be 55%. That is comparing the number 55 to 100. And that can be simplified by dividing them both by 5, which is going to scale your fraction down to 11/20ths. It's kind of fun filling out this puzzle piece. I'm going to do this first. 9 divided by 10. As a decimal, that's 0.9, and I'm actually going to give a 0 here because it's going to help me. That's 0 and 90/100ths. So that's 90%, or 90 to 100. Another way to do this that'd be really fun is equal fractions. 10 times 10 gives you 100, 9 times 10 gives you 90. So many ways to go back and forth between all of these representations, okay? This one here is 4 to 5. So that's 4/5 as a fraction. I am going to scale it up to have 100 in the denominator to make it a percentage, because this is really where we're going in the next couple of lessons. 5 times 20 is 100. 4 times 20 is 80. This is 80%, or 80/100ths, which can be written as 80/100ths, or you could do 4 divided by 5, which would be 0.8, and you would add a 0. Okay, last problem. If you've gotten to this far, I'm very happy, okay? You have 3 people. I'm going to make up this problem. Marty owns a lawn mowing service. He has 100 lawns to mow this week and 3 people to mow them. Use the 10 by 10 grid to model what percentage of the work you'd like each person to complete. Well, I'm going to give you some numbers. Ooh, sorry about that. I'm going to tell you that Bob mows 7/20ths of the lawn. Dave mows 0 and 33/100ths of the lawn, and of the lawns, I should say. And Harry, finally, his ratio of the lawns mowed to the total is 8 to 25. Okay? So I'm going to ask again for if there's enough time for you guys to work as a group. If not, maybe your sub will let you just copy this down. I'm going to start with Bob. I love the 7/20ths, okay? I'm actually going to choose to scale this up, okay? Because this, and I hope you label your equal fractions. This is how many Bob mows to the total, okay? So 20 times 5 is going to give you 100. Whatever you do to the bottom, you must do to the top. Bob is going to mow 35% of the lawns, okay? And I'm going to make him red. And I'm going to do 10, 20, 30. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 35 lawns. Now Dave, 0 and 33/100ths. His is easy. If you just look at that as a fraction, I'm going to make him blue on my highlighter. He is going to mow 33 of the lawns. Okay, and what's left is Harry, okay? I'm actually going to take Harry's ratio and make it a fraction. This is how many lawns Harry mows to the total. If you scale this up to a percentage, which would be times to 100, you're going to do times 4 times 4, and Harry should be mowing 32 lawns. Okay, I'm going to do his green. That's, ooh, highlighter, Mrs. Kramer. 10, 20, 25, 30, 32 lawns. I hope you enjoyed our lesson today. I hope you took really good notes. You and your partner, if there's time remaining, may start your homework on Google Classroom. I hope you have a wonderful day.